Hey guys, I'm here with my final wrap up for January, and this week I for my weekly wrap up, I read a total of one graphic novel, one short story, one novella, and two novels. And first thing I read this week was a reread, and that was Wonder by R.J. Palacio, and still just as great as before. All the feels. I was grossly sobbing at bits. I will admit there was definitely some gross sobbing going down, and the characters were great. All of them were interesting, and just if you haven't read this book, what are you doing? What are you doing? You need to read this right now! It is a maze. And then, so next thing I read was in the back of my my novella that I read this week, and that was the Julian chapter, which came in the back of my edition, and this novella was to show Julian's side of the story. He was like the bully in the book, and this was supposed to make trying to pretty much damage control. That's all this chapter was. Damage control. This chapter just made me hate Julian even more, and that's probably not what this chapter was trying to get at. The only parts that were kind of okay were like the last 10 pages, so for that, this novella gets 1.5 stars. Hated it. And next thing I read this week was a short story out of this nice big binder, and that was the music of Eric Zahn. And oh, it was so good. It was so creepy, and it was great, and it took us back into like our plane of existence, but also not at the same time. And oh my god, this is definitely one of my favorites from Out of Here. My favorite is still The Temple. That one was just amazed, but it was definitely great. I gave it a 3.5 stars. And so the next thing I read this week was Infinity by Sherilyn Kenyon, and this is the first book in the Chronicles of Nick series, and I didn't like this book. Not very much. The main character was just... I was expecting him to just pull a fedora out of nowhere, because that's the kind of character he was. Ugh. Gosh. And, I mean, the action was pretty good. One of the methods of creating zombies was pretty creative, and, Bubba and Mark were amazing and hilarious. Oh, and Simi as well. Simi was great as well. But other than that, plus the pop culture references were just way too... They're not going to age well. If you're going to put pop culture references in your book, you've got to put ones in that are going to age well, and these are not going to age well. So, I'm definitely expecting the series to fade into obscurity in another, like, 10 years or so. Yeah. So, I'm gonna try the next book in the series and see if it gets any better, but yeah, considering I nearly DNF'd this like 6 times, I don't have high hopes. Oh well, and so I gave it a 2 stars. And then I also read volume 1 of The Sandman, and that's by Neil Gaiman with Sam Keith, Mike Dringenberg and Michael Jones III, and it was really good. It was really enjoyable. The art style is great. There's some really creepy imagery, and can't wait to continue on. And I haven't actually rated this yet, so I think I'm gonna give this one 4 stars because it was good, but still a couple of things that could have been. It was nearly there. It was nearly there. But other than that, and of course, read 7 more things out of here. And so, yeah, slowly but surely cover my way through this. And yeah, so that brings this week's page count total up to 1,119. So still getting up into those thousands, but not quite the big hitters as I've been getting. But I still did read quite a bit this week. And so now that the month is over, the total amount of things I read this month was 1 graphic novel, 2 novellas, 4 short stories, 30 precepts, and 15 novels, which is pretty damn good. And several of those were rereads as well. I managed to fit in quite a bit of rereading, and I like doing that. And so my combined page total for this month was 4,570 pages, which is pretty damn good. And yeah, and of my goals that I completed for my things, the New Year's resolutions, I got 1 of my 15 classics, and I have filmed and hopefully uploaded before this. If not, that'll be coming after this. 1 book review. So I'm getting on track with my goals, although I definitely need to catch up on my New Zealand books. I'll get to that. I'll get to that. So yeah, that is everything, and I will see you in another video.